Great, let's do it. Well, I should probably introduce myself first, and then I'm looking forward to getting to know the other people on the call. Yeah, my name is Brett Elliot, and I've lived in the Asia Pacific for over 20 years. I went to primary school in South Korea and high school in Bangkok, and I've spent over 6 years in Hong Kong, where I worked for Channel V as a script writer, as an associate producer. I worked as a senior communications planner for Zenith Optomedia, dealing with some of the largest companies in the world, and then went back to Australia, where I did a double master's in international business, international relations, and a master's thesis in equity crowdfunding. And later I went back into, I was in finance for a little while, setting up, first writing investor documents for people raising capital, and then later for setting up funds. And then went back into the advertising space as a commercial director of an impact agency. And then it subsequently came to Bali, where I've been working for, doing consultancy work currently for Gojek, which is one of the largest tech startup in Indonesia, to help redefine their brand. But what brought me to tokenization as being fascinating to me is that it's very similar to crowdfunding in many ways. There's a possibility of doing a pre-sale on a product, as you would have in a rewards-based crowdfunding situation. And there's an opportunity to, in effect, sell equity, to sell some stake in your activities in the form of tokenization as well. So in that way, it's similar to equity crowdfunding. So I had the opportunity to participate in two public government consultations on how to legislate for this space. How do you legislate for crowdfunding? And unfortunately, in Australia, like many places in the world, they really undermined the whole premise of crowdfunding, which was to democratize finance in a way that made it accessible to everyone. So what we have here today is the possibility of revisiting that idea in the Internet of Value. So this concept of a Web 3.0, the Internet of Value. And with that comes the possibility of tokenization, which is baking in a relationship, baking into the blockchain the relationship between your stakeholders and your activities. So just an introduction to how I came to get into tokenization as an area of interest.
Amazing. So Navjot, do you want to share your journey so far, and what got you excited with the thought of creating your own tokens?
Yes. So back in 2018, we started My Boat Ride, which used to be an aggregation platform, and basically people had boats, and we had the sales point basically, so we could help them sell their boats on hires and help them make some revenue. There we understood it was an unorganized market, and later on we went on to acquiring some tenders for various routes in Mumbai and Gujarat. So since then we've grown on to multiple routes in Mumbai, and we shortening the distances right now. Just as an example, would be a 2-hour distance in Mumbai you could travel in less than 20 minutes now. So one by one we are switching on all the routes, and it's with the support of Government of India, and we aim to go pan-in with multiple routes in the master plan of the country. So
you also conceptualized this pool rides where people could, which was a rather unorganized sector until now, where people could book a single seat on a speedboat, and a transport which earlier took about 45 to 50 minutes, you brought it down to 15 or 10 to 15 minutes of time.
Yeah. So what had happened was, it was because it was an unorganized market, so the prices of the boats were just depending on how the person was, the touts game basically. so they could code whatever they wanted to. So when we went to the market, we started standardizing all the boats. So we started selling each and every seat on a boat, like a passenger boat, a ferry, but these were smaller boats, and people who wanted a less crowd, or they wanted a more private affair, could take these, and in an affordable price. So that was the pool rides that we had started, and obviously the it's picked up. We are doing a lot of rides. There's an area called Alibag near Mumbai, so that runs mainly between the two areas as of now, and now the water taxi is going to start in multiple areas as well.
Thank you, Navjot. So if we could go a little bit deeper into your personal story, what inspired you to go into this area of business? Well, what's your background? Did you design the aggregation platform? Did you engage someone to do that for you?
So our aim was basically to organize it. So that was a pain point for us as well as a customer. We used to travel to Alibag, and it was a continuous effort to hire the boats. And there was no one person who could make it easy. Like you say, your friend has a boat, so he can always lend it out to you. There was no friend for anybody. So that's where we came in, and we started tying up with all the boat vendors, and kind of an Airbnb model. And so suppose you have a boat, you come on my platform, you could just say what you wanted to quote. So ultimately you had to offer a price which was the market price in order to compete with the other boat vendors as well. So
got it. Okay, that's fascinating. So I recall a speech by the founder of Kiva. Are you familiar with Kiva?
No, I'm not.
So Kiva is a micro lending platform, but I think they've facilitated over $1 billion worth of transactions, micro loans for small businesses. But the founder of Kiva, who's in her mid-30s, said that it's important to pay attention to the things that annoy you, because chances are they annoy other people too. and therein lies the opportunity for a business. So it sounds like that was something that really annoyed you enough to do something about it.
That was exactly the case.
Excellent. So who do you serve?
So there are daily computers that we have as customers. Then there are so these are two different cities which have a drivable distance of about 3 to 4 hours between them. So by boat we reduce it down to about 20 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
So now with us coming in on pool rides and the online availability, making boats available to people, the people from Mumbai, where houses are smaller, have started shifting to Alibag, where the houses are much bigger. They're shifting into open spaces. It's more of a place to live with the nature. So we've literally made a area more explorable, more approachable over a period of time. So now everybody is these are our customers basically. You can say they can be HNIs, they can be Delhi commuters, they are villagers, everybody. So tourist is a very big attraction. So over the weekends, a lot of tourists is going out there. Over the weekdays, there are Delhi commuters who come to Mumbai or who go to Alibag for work. And now with water taxis coming in, we have multiple such areas like Belapur, Uran, Elephanta Caves that you would have heard about. So JNPT is one of the biggest ports in India. So all these ports are getting connected with a connectivity of about 10 to 20 minutes. And usually it takes about more than an hour or up to 3-4 hours to reach these places.
Yeah,
And
I can really relate. I used to live in Hong Kong. Actually, I lived on an island called Llama Island that had no cars, and that was like it was a 25-minute commute into the center of this bustling metropolis.
yeah,
And it sounds like that's precisely the possibility that you're creating for people to make Mumbai more accessible
more,
and to make these other parts where you can commute to also more accessible.
yeah.
Because I'm interested to know, I'm curious to know how much brand development you've done. How are you telling your story? What's your 30-second elevator pitch?
So in a period of 3 years, we've made our name as the most reliable, the safest, and on-time service. Uh, because of which we've been given options or options to cater to new routes, new areas. So
Mm,
we are one of the most reliable companies in terms of availability, approachability to the people, and sales as it goes.
got it. So those are brand attributes. Those are things that you would like people to associate with your business, with My Boat Ride.
Yeah,
When people think My Boat Ride, they think it's reliable, it's safe, and it's on time.
yeah.
Are there any other values that you want to bring into that story?
So because we were new in the market, it was the customers who were teaching us what we should do.
Mm,
So the evolution was one of the biggest points for us, where we are main. So we used to have a sprint basically. So any complaint that we used to get, we used to resolve it in a limited amount of time.
mm,
So that used to be our strength, wherein before you come on to your next ride, that issue is always resolved. So we don't even leave a chance for you to complain the next time,
mm,
even if it's within 2 to 3 hours. Probably, if it's in our hands, we would probably solve it immediately.
mm.
So these were
So
the biggest.
when I asked you before about your customers, and you said there were villagers and tourists and different types of commuters who live outside of Mumbai in areas they could get to by boat. What about the owners of the boats themselves? To what extent are they customers?
So owners of the boats. As you know, the cost of travel in a boat is a lot. So the fuel prices going up. The cost of travel is a lot, even if you own a boat. So
Mm,
with pool rides coming in, the cost. So suppose you're traveling, you're a single traveler, and you're going to take a full boat. So obviously, coming onto my boat and just paying for one seat would be much more economical for you than
mm,
taking your own boat. So
mm,
a lot of boat owners have been coming onto our platform
mhm.
either to rent their boats out or to buy the seats, or if they have some seats left on their boats, we can give them the sales as well.
So what's the proposition to the boat owners? What do you tell them? What's your pitch to the boat owners?
So we charge a particular commission.
No. What's the story when you say join us because this?
Okay,
What's the story that you sell to them?
boat is a very capital intensive product. It's a depreciating asset for a lot of people. So when you buy a boat, you have a continuous maintenance even if you do not use it.
Yeah.
So to take out that minimum maintenance, so you need to have some staff. There is cleaning supposed to happen. There is maintenance that is an ongoing process onto it. So
Navjot, can I answer this, Navjot?
sure,
If you don't mind.
sure.
So, yeah, hi, Brett. So, this is Sohail Kazani. I'm partner at My Boat Ride. See,
Hi
we are
there.
basically creating the Uberization of boats in the harbor. And all that we say to the boat owners that we take away your idle capacity and give you money for that. That's it. As simple as that. So, what happens is, though it is a capital intensive asset, but they get some money by us using their boats. At the same time, these boats need to be used regularly, otherwise they'll create maintenance issues. So thereby the boat owners really find the proposal interesting, and at the same time they see good revenues also. So most of the boats are luxury boats which they don't use on a regular, not even on a monthly basis, maybe just once or twice in a quarter. And most of the time is sidling, and the dry docking cost is humongous. So this is a good way for them to keep their boats busy, their staff busy, as at the same time make sure that it's they can enjoy the luxury at minimal cost. So,
Great. Well, I think you answered the question in that first line, the Uberization of boats in the harbor. And I think anyone could immediately understand precisely what you mean by that. To Navjot, to your point, I could see you moving towards the business model, and of course that's very important. But we'll get to that. How many boats do you currently have in your fleet, shall we say?
So we have about 10 odd boats for our which are owned by us and which are continuously being deployed onto the water taxi routes. And we have over 100 boats which we aggregate as of now in the Mumbai harbor.
That's great. So, and how many seats a day or how many seats a week on average are you selling?
The business is, you can say about 4,000 to 5,000 seats a week, all ranging from public transport tickets to water taxis to pool rides.
What was the last one? So it's a public transport to water taxis to what?
Water taxi, pool rides, chartering.
Pool rides. Do you mean like multiple people?
Multiple people. A shared boat.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then do you do luxury charters as well?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Great. And can customers give feedback?
Yeah. Yes, they can.
Do you have a rating system? Like if there's one particular service that's providing a poor service, do you guys hear about that?
Yes, we continuously, because here the customers are pretty vocal on what the problem is, and because we are pretty much approachable to them, we get immediate feedbacks onto which service is not on time or which isn't up to the mark. So we can immediately either replace, or we can take care of we can give them a good experience by changing the boat or something like that.
Okay.
Okay,
and
we
great.
have an online review system as well. So if you don't want to message us or call us, you can just put a review onto them. Also, we can take care of it.
And how do people find out about the service? If I was in Mumbai, I think 3 years ago, actually, I was working on a transmedia project. And if I knew that such a service existed, that sounds very exciting to me. But how would I find out about that? Or how do people find out about your service?
So we have a website wherein you can go, it's called myboatride.com. Similarly, we have our obviously Google channels. We've been catering to a lot of your boat vendors also. So ultimately the booking is going to go through us only, because the only online portal or who can pre-book for yourself, pre-book for you.
Okay. So when you say Google search, do you mean like you have some SEO you've set up? So
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
so Brett, what I wanted to say here was the major announcement is going to be in this month, when the shipping minister himself is personally coming down to inaugurate the water taxi service. So we just started 2 years back with just one route, but now all the 7-8 routes are going to be inaugurated by the shipping minister himself. So this is going to be a big story on the newspaper, and it's happening this month between 10th and 18th. So fingers crossed. We're just waiting for the date to announce and the news articles to actually create the national awareness of this. So,
Mm, mm. Okay, well, thanks for explaining about the business. And I'm really glad, Ankur, that we had a little bit of extra time so we can get into the meat and bones of the tokenization story. But I think it's very important to understand a little bit about the business, and in particular, how you communicate with the general public. Because like in crowdfunding, your ability to raise interest in your tokens is only as good as your ability to connect with potential customers. So that those existing channels are important. So do you have existing relationships with, if I bought a ticket through your platform, would you then have my contact details? Would you be able to reach me to invite me to buy a token?
So yes, we would have all your details with what have you booked through us ever. So as long as we have your phone number and your email, we would have your details. And so we know who likes to travel through which route or which mode of transport.
Got it. Got it. And so just finally, what are the ambitions for the business? Like at the moment, you own 10 boats and you've aggregated 100 boats in total. What would be the ambition be?
So this is what we're talking about is just executed in Mumbai right now.
Okay.
And now we have a country to take over. India, three sides of which are fully sea, and we have unlimited number of routes, a billion people staying there, and everybody wanting to come to the waters. So that's the scope.
So your ambition is to be a national service provider, a national aggregation service provider for boat customers and for boat providers or boat owners.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So your objective, you're in Mumbai now and you want to go national.
So there's one thing that we boast of by saying that what Tata's did to the aviation is what we would want to do with the marine industry here when it comes to passenger transport.
Sorry, can you repeat that, Sahel? I just missed that.
I said our ambition is to basically bring in an evolution in the marine sector by creating one major passenger transport shipping line and do something similar to what Tata's had done to the aviation.
Right. Thank you. So tokenization enables your customers and other boat owners and friends and investors to take an interest in your project. Would you be using it to raise money, to expand the business? Would you be using it to generate pre-sales? So for a regular commuter, for instance, they might buy your token by $1,000 worth of tokens because that covers their transport for 2 years. And so they may take an interest in a pre-sale. Alternatively, they may take an interest because they know that you're going to be taking that money and doing something with it to grow the value of that token. So those are two ways that two reasons to tokenize. Do you have an idea of what your objectives are in terms of fundraising and how you would spend that money?
So we have multiple. So basically, in India, it's not only the service that you have to give; it's the infrastructure also has to be built up along with the service. So obviously, we'll be acquiring more routes, spreading out all over the country, getting more boats, increasing our inventories, and obviously there would be a marketing done for it in terms of making it easy available for the people. So that there would be a technology behind it. So all this.
So I think it's helpful to be very specific about your fundraising goals. So if you said, well, your ambition is to raise $100,000 and being very clear about what the use of funds would be, like, have you costed out what scaling the business, firstly at a local level, or setting up the business in a new territory? Have you looked at the costs associated with doing that?
Yes, we've done that. So we've got an entire deck prepared by professional financial accountants, and there are certain routes and a certain type of boats that have to be built have been identified, and there's a roadmap for applying the investment firstly into uh, acquiring the routes and operationalizing the boats in hand, as well as building new boats for the new routes. So these are the two main areas where the fund would be utilized. And we have identified around 25 routes out of the 111 waterways right now, which are most viable and are desperate to have a passenger ferry service in place. So,
So do you have a dollar target?
what do you mean by a dollar target?
Like, no, a dollar target, like if you were to do fundraising, what would be the idea? I mean, it takes a lot of work to spend money. If suddenly you had $1 million in your pocket, you might need to think a little bit about how you're going to spend it, or 10 million, or, so what would be your first round target fundraising wise?
I'll take that on. Yeah. Currently, this is Gurpreet Bakshi, GB from My Boat Ride. Yeah. Hi. So we've currently invested over $1.5 million in this business, and over these boats and the ones that we've taken on. And what we do see is that we see an opportunity in this space that we would require about another $4 million to get on to other cities. So as we progress on, this is the current phase that we've touched, and as we get on to Gujarat and other places, then we would require that kind of money to expand ourselves. And our dependability has to move away from other people's boats to our own inventory, because there is a lot of requirement within the cities.
Got it. So I'd like to invite one of you gents that has a stable screen in terms of not moving too much and a stable internet connection to open it, to log into unit.network and to share your screen.
I'll do that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, what was I can see GB. Was it Bashi? Sorry, what was your name again, please?
So here.
Gurpreet.
Pardon me?
Gurpreet.
Gurpreet. Okay, thank you. Gurpreet, got it. Okay, thanks. That's very helpful. Gurpreet. Excellent. Okay, so have you shared your screen?
Yes, I have.
Okay, terrific. All right. So I'd like to invite you to go to the create section, and what we're going to all discover together is how easy it is to create a token. Sure. So you want to choose the name of the business that you want to promote. Thank you. And so then we'll just need to choose an image or an icon to represent that business. Preferably, it needs to be in a 4x4 dimensions, so square.
Would the crypto, we made a crypto logo, would that be good for it?
That would be great. It just needs to be square. Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, so supply really depends on, if your ambition is to be, let's say, $100 million business, issuing 1 million tokens would make it $100 per token, as an example. So, the number issued actually is somewhat immaterial. But if we started with 1 million tokens, I think that would be a great place to start for your business.
Okay, so
that's the one. And then a symbol. So MBR is My Boat Ride. So maybe that's what it could be. And hopefully it isn't already taken. Let's try that. And then click create. Marvelous. So this is the home for your token. So the first thing I'd like to do is, I mean, have you looked in this environment before?
A little bit while registering.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think for the time that we've got left, well, I'll just introduce the environment first. So what you can see here is you can see the token that you've created, the supply, and then you've got a measure for treasury and market value. And in the top right there, you can select your team and you can select your advisors. And the reason that you do that is because you can incentivize your team and advisors to both help you raise funds and reward them for that. And you can also put them on cliff investing periods. So they will be rewarded after working with the business for a period of time with My Boat Ride tokens. At the bottom right, you'll see the leaderboard. And what that will show is who holds tokens within your environment. And then to your bottom left, you see questions and polls. So this is a way that you can interact with your stakeholders. So if you'd like to scroll up, please. And we'll just go to the community section for a look. So let's have a look at the community section. Okay, so here you can run contests as a way of incentivizing your community to engage and participate. Maybe you want them to design you a new logo. Maybe you'd like to give them the offer to get a free ride in exchange for taking Instagram pictures of or doing posts for their amazing trip that they took. There's also a store there where you can actually sell merchandise. So that will be developed later on. So that's not prepared just yet, but it will be. And then you can see their papers. That's actually a way that you can publish your story. And that's something that will be indexed in the Unit University section. And in the bottom left there, you can see events. So you can actually create events there in the bottom left. And you can also put together groups. So that'll allow people within your community to get together and you can invite them to socialize. Or perhaps they're working on a new project. Perhaps the group is dedicated to developing new territory. So if you scroll up again, please. So I'll just introduce you to bank and treasury and then we'll go to sales. So if you click on bank. Now what you see here is all of the holdings, all of the assets that are held within your token ecosystem is distributed across what we call the blue chips. Bitcoin, ETH, DOT, Matic or Polygon, Sol or Solana, the Binance coin, and Cardano. And if you just scroll down a little bit further, you scroll down further there. Yeah, so there's the USDU, and you can also have holdings in the Unit network. So the Unit is the native token for this environment. So the prices for all of these blue chip cryptos are calculated constantly in real time. And as they go up in value, so too will the value of your token.
Sure.
So if you scroll up, so the bank history is very important there because obviously you can use this environment to raise money, but what token holders want to see is that when you put that money to good use, that you reward the token holders by bringing money back into the environment. And every time you transfer money into the environment, they can see that in the banking history. And the key to successful tokenization is to consistently deliver on your promise. That's the case with crowdfunding, and that's certainly the case with tokenization. And the reason that's the case is because when you do your first fundraise, you are not raising for the first round or even the second round. You're raising for the third round. Because it's much easier to go back to people who have already seen you deliver on all your promises and ask them to invest a little bit more. And they may well be prepared to invest substantially more because they've seen that you've been good to your word. So that's really critical for a successful token project. So let's go to sale. If you could click on sale. Now, here you see stages. So you can actually set up stages for your fundraising. So if you go to new stage and just click on new stage there. So this is where you sell your tokens. So you just mentioned that you've already invested approximately $1.5 million into your business.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd have to have a much more detailed conversation to look at evaluation, and that's something that I can help you with. But if you had a picture of what your valuation was, or have you done a valuation on the business at present?
I won't have it in hand as of now.
Okay, well, I mean,
So
one
we don't have
way,
a financial model as of now.
yeah. I mean, one way of doing evaluation is a multiple of revenue. So for instance, if you're making, $1 million a year and you've got $1 million worth of assets and so you do it 3 times revenue at a discount. So $1 million this year, $1 million times 80% for next year, $1 million times 60% year 3. And plus the value of the assets depreciated over time, and then you add a brand multiple based on how you're going to grow. But that's a more complicated question. But to keep it simple, let's say we're going to value your business, we're going to value your token environment, since people actually aren't buying into your existing assets, and we need to decide exactly what they're buying into. But let's make it a price at $1, just to keep it simple.
Okay.
And at this bargain basement price of $1, and you've got 1 million tokens to issue, let's issue 50,000. Great. Now, here under core team and advisors, you have the opportunity to incentivize your core team, and you may make some of the owners of the boats members of your core team or advisors, and they become your sales team. So this is an incentive provided to your sales team to help you raise money for your project. So here you can see, first you identify, in the first instance, you may just want to give members of your core team and advisors the opportunity to invest. And you can cap the amount that they can invest, because with all tokenization projects, there's a risk that you have whales, so to speak, that own so many tokens that they can actually manipulate the price. So let's say, your maximum purchase quantity for your core team, so let's say 5,000. So that's going to be 10% of the total availability. For your advisors, let's say 2,500. And so for the community, let's say 1,000. So one of the strategies for crowdfunding in many cases is it's not just about raising money. It's about building a community of ambassadors and advocates for your business. And this is a strategy that you can use to actually grow the business as well, because obviously anyone who's invested in your business is a stakeholder in seeing it grow. And this is one of the great strategies with both crowdfunding and, in this case, tokenization. So here you have the opportunity to create a commission structure for your core team and your advisors. So that you could otherwise, you could call this a kind of an escrow service in a way, in so much as if I was raising money for you, I wouldn't know if you were going to pay me the commission after I'd raised the money. So in professional fundraising circles, you have an escrow service, which is set up by a bank and a lawyer that charge some % of the transaction. Unit allows you to provides this service for free. So that means that when, Anchor introduced me to your business, I invest into your business. The minute the money drops into your business, Anchor immediately gets his commission. So you don't need to handle it. I don't need to handle it. I don't need to chase you. It's a trustless system. So this service in itself is incredibly valuable. So you may choose to provide a cash bonus and a token bonus. So let's say that the cash bonus is 2%.
Do I need to mention?
And the token bonus, or you can make a cash bonus of 5% and a token bonus of 10% for your core team.
Token bonus.
Very good. And 10% for the core team. Yeah, that's a nice number. Okay,
Brad,
so
I had a question.
Sure.
Brad, I had a question. On the top, there was something to do with community.
Yes.
And Navjot, if you could just go down the screen, please. Yeah. So there's one, advisors and community. So what was the logic of the max purchase being at 2,500 and 1,000? Is there some rationale of doing it 1 or 2.5 times and something like that, or
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. So in this case, let's say you've got 4 founders, and you decide that you 4 founders want to have first option on the opportunity to invest in this business, and you can invest up to 5,000. You can buy up to 5,000 tokens in this round. The advisors don't get the same privilege of investing as much in this first round, because the value is going to increase over time. And part of that is created by scarcity. And then likewise for the community. Because let's say if it was 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, a community member and 10 of his friends came in and they bought up the entire first round. Okay. And then even the core team didn't get the opportunity to invest. So this is a strategy for controlling who has a stake in the early stage rounds and how much of a stake they actually have. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. Okay, so we're looking at advisor bonuses. So maybe you want to give your advisor bonuses the same.
5%?
So 5 and 10, yeah. I mean, there are layers of complexity in this that we won't go into as well, but there can be introducer bonuses between core team and advisors, but I don't think we need to go into that right now. We can if you like. I mean, it said so core team cash bonus with advisors. This is in the event that, the core team bonus, if that's say 10% in cash and 20% in tokens. So if you go to let's skip this for now, but I think we've covered enough here. But basically what it does is it incentivizes, it rewards core team members for introducing advisors into the ecosystem. So if Ankur introduces me into your business as an advisor and I raise $1,000, and so I receive a 5% cash bonus and 10% token bonus, then Ankur may also receive a bonus on the basis of my success. And that will be the difference between the advisor bonuses and core team. Yeah. So if you'd like to scroll to the top again, please. So yeah, so once you're ready, and obviously we need to look at this, and you take it live, and then it's immediately available for sale.
Got it. So we just do that sales stage?
Yeah, when you're ready, you add sales stage, and then that gets published. So I wouldn't do that for now because we need to look at the valuation to be smart. But that would be probably not a bad example of how to run this project. And probably a price of $1 is not an unreasonable place to start. But the real question when you set the pricing is a question of what people are buying and what is going to be your strategy to grow the value of your token. And unfortunately, we've run out of time, so that's going to be the content for another conversation.
Got it.
Sorry, there's a question there from Gurpreet. Do you want to ask something? I could just see your hands raised there.
I had already asked that question, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's a very exciting project. It looks very promising. And at some point, if you're accepting unit tokens, I might very well like to have a small part of my boat ride in the form of a couple of tokens. And there may be some other people in the call as well that are might be excited to do the same.
That's a very good decision, Brett. Once you invest, your Privado's inside information for a very big event that's happening tomorrow. So today is a good time to invest.
Okay, great. Well, we can follow up for a deeper discussion if you gents would like to actually look at how we can go deeper into structuring your token offering.
Sure.
But I'll hand it back to you, Ankur. Thank you very much for having me on the call. It was really great to meet Navjot and Sohail and Gurpreet, and I really wish you the very best with your business. It sounds very exciting. And I think there's a really great opportunity to tell an exciting story about the value of your token. And you know, there's a great opportunity to explore all the great things that you can offer to your token holders. And that's going to be a really exciting journey for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a
Brett.
lot,
very
Greg.
much.
Your insights have been really useful, and we're going to be using each one of them.
Great. Great.
Yes,
All right. Well, if you want to reach out, I'm happy to. You can get to me through Anchor.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if you're aware, but we do have a ventures program. Batch 1 is starting in January, and you guys would certainly be very good candidates to join that program. And if you did, then you would have a lot more of my time to support you in the tokenization of your project.
Sure.
Look forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah. So Navjot's just finishing his unit master's course as well. So it'll be perfect. Jan would be excellent to be a part of the unit ventures. And thank you, Gurpreet, Sohail, Navjot, for volunteering to do this, and hope it was valuable for you. And Brett, thank you very much. That was a great demo and session, please.
Great. Great. You're very, very welcome.
Awesome. So, guys, I'll be closing this room for the day. We have the remainder of the conference going on in room 1. We have some really exciting speakers yet to come. We have Arjun Vaidya, who started Dr. Vaidya and converted an ancient Ayurvedic business to the most successful D2C exits in India. And he's currently handling a $200 million fund at the age of 35. We have Brendan Rogers, who's raised and handled more than $600 million, and he's going to talk about investing in India from a US perspective. We have the head and chairman of India Blockchain Alliance. You don't want to miss him talk about his 11-year journey in the blockchain space. And his title is From Speculation to a Revolution. And he's a global speaker. He's been part of more than events in more than 70 countries. He's advisor to more than 5 blockchains, central exchanges, DEXs. So he's certainly someone you should wait around to hear. So thank you everyone for coming in today.